with the action from the Agulhas Boat Adventures, proudly brought to you by Rusgenoot Transport, Profile Sponsorship Management and Capital Sounds. Welcome boating fans to the 2013-2014 Agulhas Boat Adventure. We return to Mossel Bay for the start of this event that is known as the toughest inflatable boat race in the world. Teams and drivers meet up the day before the event for the drivers briefing. We went in search of some of the names that will be shaping this year's Agulhas. Wimpy Ackerman and Whitey Low, Team Imperial Cargo, searching for another victory.
Dit is die 22ste een, hè? En ons het bevoorreg dat ons weer hier kan terugwees met ons Imperial Cargo borg en met gesondheid. Ons het 'n redelike paar ure op die water deurgebring en 'n bietjie met die hoogtes gespeel en propellers en so aan my op vir die Agulhas kom jy mos maar altyd terug na Cleaver toe om wat jy weet 'n konstante propeller is en wat jy deurdra na die eindpunt toe.
The Blueprint class will set the scene for one of the biggest battles in the Agulhas that we've seen in many years. One team that will be right there is that of Stefan Lindicke and Tony Ingram.
Well, the year before that we came first, so we want to try and get back to that kind of form. We've started with a fresh boat again, a new engine, everything. We've trained quite a bit harder than last year because we saw that the year before the training does help, physical training, and we did quite a bit of practicing and stuff. So we hope that everything's going to come together and we're going to challenge for the first place.
Team Rusgenoot Straya van Niekerk had a very hard Agulhas last year. A flip on the last day cost him the chance of a possible win. But this year he's ready for action.
Ons het baie moeite gedoen. Ons het probeer maar die reise te ry. Ons het die Atlantic gery. Ons kon eerste klaar maak. Ek het nou in Engeland gaan ry in die World Championship en ons het baie goed gedoen daar. En ek en Floris het 'n groot ongeluk gehad waar sy hand seer gekry het. Maar sy hand is nou weer reg en ons is bly dat ons saam weer die Agulhas kan doen.
This year the Agulhas sees a huge influx of novice teams. We went and spoke to some of the newcomers to find out exactly what was on their minds before the start.
Yeah, I've got a lot of butterflies since last week, but I'm sure when I start that engine I get the fumes in my nose, I think that's gonna be gone. I just think we're gonna keep my co-pilot in one piece, and then we're just gonna make. I think the most important is just to finish every day. And then to get at New Year's at Strand. So I think that's the most important.
For Team Wet Core Cape, this would be a rather unique experience.
This is our first real race or challenge together. That's why we were 2 months in preparation to start knowing each other. What we heard was that it's the world's toughest boat race, but they predicted the weather is going to be good, and we're going to take it as it comes.
For day one, it's an early start as we travel back to Plettenberg Bay where the event starts and meet up with a legend of the Agulhas, Dave Barnett.
We've had, unfortunately, sort of limited preparation, I think, as it is for everybody. The weather in Cape Town, we've had a lot of strong winds the last really couple of months. So we've had time on the water, but not as much as we would have liked. But everything should be fine. With the water here this morning, I don't think it's as flat as what everyone thinks it's going to be. Once we get around Rollberg here, I think we're going to have the wind from the front all the way to Mossel Bay. And there's a little bit of swell left over from yesterday, so it should be a bit of a bumpy ride.
Dave Barnett teaming up again with his co-pilot from so many years, Chad Oosthuizen. The two of them have been dominating this event for the last 7 years. And let's see if it could be another win for Barnett and Oosthuizen. Before the start of the day's racing, the teams meet up on the beach for a quick briefing with race Odi Herman van Geems, who's very happy with this year's turnout.
Absolutely brilliant turnout this year. I think we have increased the numbers from 24 up until 33 this year in the RIP. So it's 34 boats that entered this year. It seems like the numbers are getting better. A lot of new novices that have entered. I think we've got 10 entries this year in the novice class. So yeah, sport's coming back up to the numbers.
At this stage, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome a man who's no newcomer to the sport of inflatable boat racing from Aquarius Inflatables in East London. Welcome to Rowan Hawks. Rowan, welcome.
Thank you, William. Nice to be here again. Another year gone by, another Trans Agulhas. Things are looking good this year. We've got 34 boats on the start line, waiting to do the various stages over the next 5 days, all the way to Strand.
So, Rowan, as the toughest inflatable boat race gets on the way, why is day one seen as such a tough stage, such a difficult one to overcome by all the teams?
Well, it's the longest stage of the whole event, starting at Plet, going through to Nature's Valley, back to Plet, with 9 beach stops on the way. And also along the way, it might look very calm and tranquil in the bay between Plet and Nature's Valley, but upon leaving Plettenberg Bay and going around Robberg, you get to the areas between Knysna and Brenton where the water can be pretty rough. So if you hadn't made a correct prop choice for your first day, it can be a very long day on the water.
Teams all bunched up together as we enter the first beach stop of the event. It's Wilderness with this is Stefan Lindeke and Tony Ingram in the blueprint class. And look at this as we go to the onboard cam with Eben de Boort. Watch on the right hand side here. Oh, a close one, almost being ridden over by Team Motorleg. That could have been a nasty one.
Yeah, that could have been. These beach stops, as I say, from Plet across to Nature's Valley is a pretty quick stage, so the boats haven't spread out yet. They're all on top of each other, and as I say, the adrenaline's really firing now, and the guys just want to get to the front.
Rowan, we heard Race Odie Herman van Gims mention this at the start. A whole lot of new novice teams entering the event this year. I think just on 10 novice teams. Pretty good for the sport growing.
Yes, it's very exciting to see this year that we're getting a bit of growth, especially in the novices coming into the sport. For the last couple of years, the sport, the numbers have been very stagnant, and relying a lot on the numbers coming from the older guys that have been participating for a number of years. So it's definitely nice to see a good couple of youngsters coming into the sport to give us some growth.
Catching a glimpse there of the Van Loveren team, Jacques Mathieu. He's won this event a couple of times in the standard class as well, defending his title this year. I think there's going to be a lot of competition throughout the classes, right from standard class through to modifieds, as we on board here with Eben de Boort and Gerard Vernoot. Robertson Abattoir watching. He says, just pump the fuel line, give me some pressure. As they leave the beach here. Rowan, first stop on the day from here, we're off to Brenton, and it's some real rough conditions that usually await the teams there.
Yeah, Brenton on Sea, the whole area along between Knysna and Brenton, there's a lot of sort of rocky, cliffy shoreline, which makes the sea quite rough in that area. So it will definitely spread the field out quite a bit after the first stop at Brenton.
No surprises as we get to Brenton on Sea, though. Dave Barnett and Chad Worstays in first road emergency get there first, being chased by Robertson Abattoir's Wade Ball, son of the former Agulhas stalwart Roy Ball, and I think this chap's got a lot of potential.
Yes, he has got a lot of potential. As I say, Roy, his father's been teaching him quite a bit, and Roy himself has been a national champion before, so I'm pretty sure Wade is going to learn from someone who knows what they're doing.
Team Value Max there, that's the winner of last year's standard novice class, second on the beach in the standard class, and Wimpy Ackerman and Whitey Low leading in the blueprint. So at the moment I think these two are going to be a real force to contend with in the blueprint class.
Yeah, well, they've been riding for a long time now. They do a lot of practicing. They live in the Bredasdorp area, so the coastline between sort of Plettenberg Bay and Struisbaai is definitely their home turf, and they know the area well.
It's a long run for the co-drivers to get to that beach flag as we watch Ferdy Liebenberg, Hunter's Extreme leaving the beach, and the most picturesque coastline there of Wilderness as we look down towards the beach. And from day one, it looks like Dave Barnett already grabbing this race by the scruff of the neck.
Dave has also been doing this for a number of years with his co-pilot Chart, so they also know this area extremely well. They do a lot of practice, put a lot of effort into the Trans Agulhas. So yeah, we expect them to be up there in the podium at the end of the day.
I think if we look at the classes, I think one of the biggest battles we're going to see in this year's Trans Agulhas will most definitely be in the blueprint class.
Yes, with Stefan Lindeke and Tony Ingram, Team New Landis up against Wimpy Ackerman and Whitey Low in the Imperial cargo boat. I think they're going to push each other for 5 days, and I think the result at the end is going to be pretty close.
Glenrick Insurance's Mark Leedon or Det Matham, but you just can't discount Mark Leed. I mean, he's going to be right in there in the mix.
Mark has won this event before, so he knows what it's all about. Mark is a dark horse. He is always going to be there. And if one of the top guys even makes a mistake, Mark will be in there to take the place.
As we head back to Mossel Bay, this is where they finished. Dave Barnett and Chad Westhuizen coming through, but as we heard afterwards, Dave didn't have things all his own way.
We got a bit of a bad start. We had a problem with the kill switch. We were, not too quick off the line. We caught the guys over by Nature's Valley, and we started to catch up back towards Plet. Once we came around Robert, Stefan Lindeque was in front of us there at Robert, and we caught them there. And then we just sort of pulled ahead from there.
In the standard class, last year's winner in the standard novice class, it was Peter Groenstein getting to the line first. The Value Max boat having a great finish on the day. In the blueprint class, it will be Stefan Lindeque and Tony Ingram, Team Newlanders, leading the team of Imperial Cargo, Wimpy Ackerman and Whitey Lowe. Wimpy not far behind, but a great win for Lindeque.
It was pretty tough, I would say. They had all different kind of conditions on the stage. I mean, we had from flat water to bumpy water to wind from the back, wind from the front, small waves, big waves, and then this last stretch where the wind was gale force. So, I think it's testing everyone. I think the newcomers, I know the newcomers are going to have an interesting time here in the last little stretch.
It was Streicher and Van Deventer, Heinz Motorlek that took the honours in the standard novice class, the first novices on the beach. Let's recap those overall positions then in the long haul after day one. Streicher and Van Deventer doing it in the standard novice class, while Groenstein and Parr in the standard class on top of the log. Lindeque and Ingram claiming the blueprints, while Barnett and Westhuizen in charge of the modifieds by just on 20 seconds. Every year during the Trans-Agulhas at the Mossel Bay stage, the teams lay a wreath for a young girl who lost her life here at Mossel Bay during one of the events. A sad day to remember, with everybody paying their respects. On to the surf racing at Santos Beach in Rowan. I see this year the organisers have actually split the long haul and the surf racing. The two races no longer affect each other. They run as separate events. Do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, I suppose it is a good idea at the end of the day. This race is all about, the endurance aspect of it. And the surf racing at the end of the day is to give the crowds at the various beaches, especially Mossel Bay, which had thousands of people on the beach there, to give them some action and activity on the water.
And they did come out in support of the surf racing. In the modified class, Wade Ball, the SA modified champion, chasing down Dave Barnett. It was going to be a good race, but Barnett would have the upper hand in the end, taking the first of the surf races. In the first of the standard class events, Peter Groenstein and Nicole Parr, Value Max Amigos boat, leading out the duo of Petrus Botha and Rudolf Botha in the R23 full throttle boat. The rest of the field having to play catch up. And Rowan, one thing I see that we used to have in the Trans-Agulhas, there were so many boats that there were multiple surf races run, and the classes had to be split in two. I see this year the standard class actually having to run two surf racing each because of the entries.
Yeah, that is quite nice to see. Like we mentioned earlier, the growth in the sport when you have to start splitting heats. It can only bode well for the future.
The second of the standard class heats, though, wasn't going to be such a runaway. The leaders would be Jacques Martier and Michael van Geems van Loeren, being chased down by Rikus Roux and Rudewijk Kutsia. It would go all the way to the line. In the standard novice class, Lady Smith Cheese led all the way, being chased down by FJ Buter and Dion Bayers in Wetcore Cape. There was a flip early on, plum call going over. I don't think Ace Kruger and Conrad Jacobs will be too happy about that. After the restart again, it was Lady Smith Cheese that took command. They were first on the beach, but look at this, Buter and Bayers, Wetcore Cape, chasing them down on the beach, and a mistake causing Lady Smith Cheese to lose out on that occasion. In the standard class, of course, Mattia and Van Geems in Van Loeren taking the honours on the beach. Imperial Cargo took the honours in the blueprint class, while Barnett and Oosthuizen took the modifieds. Last year, Dre van Niekerk didn't have the best of Agulhas as a flip on the last day cost him time, and this year he's not out of trouble.
Ek het begin voel die engine vibreer of iets is los, maar ons het maar net gery, ons het redelik van die voorste bote gelê. En toe ons by Wilderness kom met ons gesien ons die power het about dit losgekom en die hele engine was los geweest, so ons kon nie verder ry nie. En die polisieboot het ons teruggesleep Wilderness toe.
In the standard class, Fidelity Group's Rikus Roux was lying in third place.
Ja, derde is eintlik 'n goeie posisie om te lê na dag 1. Ons kyk maar hoe gaan dit van môre af. Agulhas begin na dag 3, so ek dink ek's heel tevrede waar ek lê op die oomblik.
So what brings him back to the event every year?
Ek dink dit is so as jy begin het om dit te doen, dan jy los jou nie. Jy dink elke jaar na die Agulhas 'n week na dit, nee, jy sal nie weer ry nie. Dis net 'n maand, dan wil jy al weer skei ry, so nee, die dinge ons gaan maar elke jaar terugkom.
While many of the teams were taking some well-deserved time off, Ferdy Liebenberg from Hunters Extreme had no rest. He had a day full of trouble.
Yeah, we had a lot of problems from the start. We borrowed some ladders for the first leg, and the fuel filter was blocked, so we had to fix that before the start, like we had some time. And then on the first beach stop we came back, the tiller arm came loose. We didn't have a spanner, so we struggled all the way down to Mossel Bay with the tiller arm that's not working. It's up and down all the time. And then at Swartfly we bought a new fuel filter for our ladder, and that one was too small to fit on the motor, so we had a lot of troubles today. But tomorrow's a new day, so we'll see what happens.
The Briar Fires going from early on in the Trans-Agulhas camp. While many of the teams are doing their repairs, for some of them it would be an operation that would continue till late in the night. As we start off the action on day 2 of the Trans-Agulhas, on board with Van Rover and Mattia and Van Geems as they leave Mossel Bay, fairly flat, but don't be fooled, it gets rough as soon as they get around the point. Rowan, it's a short stage today, 80-something odd kilos and only 2 stops. Looks like it could be an easy one.
Yes, the first stop being at Vleesbaai, which is normally alright, and the second stop being at Gouritsmond, which can be quite a dangerous area to go into. The waves can be extremely huge there. And then after that, it's on the way all down to Stilbaai.
Robertson Abattoirs, Eben de Bort and Gerard Vernoot, the first to arrive at Vleesbaai, so a standard class boat leading the way today, and some pretty good running by the standard class boats, even outrunning some of the modifieds, but it could be expected in these conditions.
Yeah, well, you'll find that in the standard class the guys are a bit younger. The younger guys there, they seem to have a bit more stamina sometimes, especially if the water gets rough. And the standard motors go very well, especially if it gets a bit rougher. They've got a bit more bottom end in the blueprints, and it's not all about the top end speed at the end of the day. It's about getting your boat set up that it's comfortable and you get a good average speed over the whole course.
An onboard shot here from Team Russia, who's returned this year, Dmitry Krylyev, the pilot there. As we move now into Gourits River mouth, a rocky reef running to the left of where the boats are approaching. And once again, it looks like Robertson Abattoirs, Eben de Bort, Gerard Vernoot, and these two guys are really pushing the pace.
Yes, they must say their boat's set up very well along here. You can see the surf conditions, we're getting a bit bigger, the wind is picking up. It will make it quite interesting to see who gets into Stilbaai first.
Now the problem is this beach stop, there's a lot of dumpers here. The waves break almost on top of the beach, and this is a refueling stop for many of the teams. On board with Rusgenoot, this is Dreyer van Niekerk and Floris de Kok. They're running right up front with Wimpy Ackerman and Whitey Low at the moment, but I think Dreyer looking just to stay out of trouble today.
Yes, he did have a bit of bad luck. He's got a good sponsor behind him this year, and I'm sure he should be up there. Dreyer knows what this race is all about. He's done it a good couple of times, and he'll definitely be up there giving Wimpy and Stefan a go.
I think for the first time, Barnett and Oosthuizen first road emergency not getting to the beach first. I spoke to Mike Hamill from Boats and Bikes, his mechanic, and he said apparently the stabilizer arm broke off on the boat, and it gave them some serious issues.
So I didn't chat to Dave about that, but their equipment is normally very well prepared. Michael Hamill does a good job on that, so I'm sure the equipment will be ready for the next day.
Look at this, changing fuel tanks on the fly. They just outside Stilbaai. Gerard Vernoot unplugging the fuel lines as they now head in, and looks like these two might just be the first boat to land at Stilbaai on the beach, a standard class leading the way.
Very good. They both ride very well. Eben de Bort has learned from his father as well. He's been riding for a number of years. And Gerard Vernoot, two strong little guys, and they should be right up there by the end of the event.
Water was baie rof geweest. Ek is bly ons het die regte setup gehad vir die water. En net baie dankie vir my pa en Robertson Abattoirs my borg wat vir my dit moontlik maak om hier te kan wees.
Imperial Cargo's Wimpy Ackerman and Whitey Low on a charge as they lead the blueprint class boats to the beach.
Hierdie tweede skof is nooit 'n maklike skof nie. Dit skry elke jaar maar rowwe water hier. En want daar's baie punte wat jy omgaan wat jou riwe is. En dit maak maar dat die water vir jou die mekaar is en daar's nie patrone nie. En nou het ons vandag nog die wind ook daarbey gehad. So dit was nou maar 90 km, maar dit was 'n harde 90 km.
Ulanda's Stefan Lindeke and Tony Ingram will take second place in the blueprint class, but third place will go to Dreyer van Niekerk and Floris de Kok. Rusgenoot staying out of trouble on day 2. In the standard class, Jacques Mathieu and Michael van Geens van Leuven will be second on the beach, but Rikus Roo and Ludwig could see Fidelity Security just behind them, just on 2 minutes behind. Recapping the overall finishing positions for Stage 2's long haul, then Kruger and Jacobs for Plumcourt taking it for standard novice class, while Gebort and Farnout making no mistakes in the standard class. Blueprint class going to Ackerman and Low Imperial Cargo claiming the honours, while Barnett and Oosthuizen first road emergency at the top of the log. As the leaders receive their yellow bibs indicating the leaders in the different classes, we went to find out a little bit more about Stilbaai, as the Agulhas has been coming here for the last 20 odd years.
Stilbaai is een van ons grootste kusdorpe in ons hele streek. Nou ons is 'n breë streek, Hessepa munisipaliteit area, en natuurlik hierdie tyd van die jaar is Stilbaai en al ons kusdorpe baie vol. Maar omdat Stilbaai so groot is, veroorsaak dit 'n baie groot invloed van mense. Dit is in die middel van die jaar is dit omtrent 6000 vir die gemiddelde tyd van die jaar, 6000 mense wat permanent hier bly. Maar teen hierdie tyd van die jaar is dit tussen 50 en 60000 mense wat hierheen kom. In Stilbaai is daar so baie om te doen. Veral op 'n winderige dag soos vandag, soos jy kan sien, is daar wonderlike geleentheid vir kitesurfing. Hier is surfing, hier is op die riviere, op die see, enige iets wat jy kan doen. Hier is visvang, hier is hierdie visvywers, antieke visvywers wat in ons omgewing is. Hier is vir elke verskillende persoon is hier iets om te kan ondervind in Stilbaai.
It is one of the most idyllic destinations the Agulhas has come to over the last 20 years. As we head into the brief on the afternoon, many of the teams having trouble. Team Russia is back this year. For Dmitry Krylyev, things are not going his way.
Сегодня самый короткий день. В принципе, было сегодня полегче, чем вчера, но постигла та же проблема с мотором. Разваливается ходовая, не выдерживает. Тут стандартная стоит, рассчитанная на рыбалку. Вот поэтому опять занимаемся тем же самым. Да решить проблему с мотором наконец-то, чтобы спокойно можно было ехать и не думать о том, что у меня мотор работает неправильно.
He said the only reason he's back this year is to earn that certificate you get upon completing the event. Stefan Lindeke, Team Ulanda's finished second on the beach. He takes us through his day.
When we woke up this morning, we were hoping for a little bit of flatter water after yesterday's finish of 20 kilometers of gale force winds from the front. But we woke up to another day of strong winds. So we had to obviously make the right choices with propellers and the setup. And it was a bit of a gamble because you never know what happens around the points. But we decided to go for a specific propeller, and it seemed to have worked for us.
The Trans-Agulhas has been running for the last 20 odd years, and one of the teams that have been taking part since the inception is Team Viking. They are, of course, the Special Forces.
Yes, we're for Special Forces Regiment every year. We come and we take part in the Trans-Agulhas, to get the men out, do some training, and then also to show the public of what we're about. And I brought a big team this year. I've got a medical team, I've got a communications team, and then obviously the operators on the boats. They take the boats out and do the trip. And I get to exercise the operations, so it's like an operation. Move far from the regiment, deploy far, get the guys on the water, experience the conditions here on the East Coast, and I enjoy it. It's good fun.
So as the action gets going for day 3 of the Trans-Agulhas, a long day today, Rowan, 161 kilometers, 2 beach stops on the way, and you just can't afford to have anything go wrong on a day like today.
Yeah, I would say as far as the Agulhas goes, this is one of the harder legs of it as well, being 161 kilometers, 2 stops, Witstrand, Arniston, with very long stretches in between. So if you haven't worked out your fuel strategy very well, you can find yourself pretty lost along this coastline.
The fishing village of Arniston awaits, full of holiday makers. Now, talking about the fueling strategy, this is a fueling stop. How do you guys work out, how to run the boat? Light in the beginning, heavy first. Is there a preference when it comes to setting up the boat and fueling?
We used to basically work on sort of, carrying enough fuel for half the event. We found it didn't really help too much if you just went very light in the beginning, because then your boat would be riding a little bit too high out the water. So, you want to set your boat up that it can carry a bit of weight, etc. And we used to work it out on sort of half fuel for half the day's racing, and fill up a new tank and do the rest of it.
There's a shot of Wimpy Ackerman leaving the beach. He was the first boat to arrive at Arniston, closely followed by Peter Groenstein. Groenstein, of course, the man that won last year's standard novice class, this year riding as a standard. And the boats coming through. This is Eben de Boot and Gerard Vernoot, second standard class to arrive at the moment. De Boot has a bit of a lead in the standard class, but it's very close between him and Groenstein. Dave Barnett not staying out of trouble today, hitting a reef, damaging a prop, and it's slowed him down just a bit.
Yeah, well, at this stage, Dave is he's not really riding against Wimpy or Stefan at this stage, so Dave just needs to keep his boat upright, keep the motor going, finish each day, and make sure he is within striking distance of Wimpy or Stefan, and he should take the modified class.
Becker and Bredenham, Team Volvo coming through to Arniston. It's going to be a fuel stop for them as well. Not too far behind them, Eben Jonas, Jannie Visser, team with a brand new sponsor, Team Formula, getting into Arniston. A quick run around the boy, Nicky Smith, he's no newcomer to the Trans-Agulhas, running for Team Scania this year with his co-driver Dewald Teron. As they leave Arniston from Jan, it's a short stretch around to get through to Struisbaai. And the crowds await the arrival of the first team. It would be Imperial Cargo, Wimpy Ackerman and Whitey Low, and this extends his overall lead in the event.
Ek weet ons is sekondes uit mekaar uit. Dit was gister soos in 3 sekondes. Vandag is dit 40 sekondes. Dit is baie naby aan mekaar. So die kompetisie gaan nie oorwees tot op die laaste dag by die eindpunt nie. Maar ek weet nie een van ons sal dom dinge doen nie. Ek wil so hard moontlik ry, maar ek wil aan my boot reg ophou ook.
And this is going to be one intense battle to watch all the way to the strand. Stefan Lindeke and Tony Ingram, Team Newlandis coming in. They're just on 30 seconds now behind Wimpy Ackerman and Whitey Low. As we await the arrival of the first standard class boat, it would be Peter Groenstein, the ValueMax Amigos boat. He's very happy with his performance.
We had a very great start. And we gave our best. Even the boat from Esprit, he was 2 minutes in front of me yesterday. So we had to give all our best to make up that time today. We came third overall on the beach. We're very, very happy with our result for the day.
Dave Barnett losing just on 5 minutes to Wimpy Ackerman today, so he's suffering a bit in the overall lead of the event.
We unfortunately just clipped a bit of the reef there, damaged the propeller. We had to pull in and do a quick prop change, and then through to the finish. So we're still in the race. Had a little bit of bad luck the last couple of days, but everything's fine.
Keep in mind, Barnett knows this coastline like the back of his hand. He's going to try and make up that time. Stage 3, though, it is De Villiers and Wasserfall Overtrans taking the win for the standard novice class. Lupins, Wimpy Ackerman and Whitey Low Imperial Cargo coming to the beach first, while Barnett and Oosthuizen still leading in the modifieds. The picturesque town of Struisbaai is just one of the towns that the Trans-Agulhas visits on its journey down to the Strand every year. Struisbaai is situated about 10 kilometres from Cape Agulhas. The coastal resort boasts the longest continuous stretch of white sand coastline in the southern hemisphere, and each of the 13 pristine kilometres offers safe bathing. One of the draw cards of this holiday destination, apart from angling, is the relatively unspoilt environment. Visitors, of course, drawn to the coast by its natural beauty, which enriches and strengthens the soul. Of course, another attraction Struisbaai is well known for are the small thatched roof little houses scattered around the Struisbaai area. Picturesque Struisbaai Harbour too, extremely popular among visitors, especially the foreign guests who are thrilled to experience the last remaining historic and cultural fishing harbours on the South African coastline. This time of year, of course, Struisbaai packed with visitors, and for good reason. It's time for the Trans-Agulhas to go into its surf racing action. Rowan, looking at the different prop sets that you'd use between the long haul and surf conditions like we have here in Struisbaai, how would you decide what to use?
On the long haul, you're going to be looking for something that's got a bit of drive, good bottom end power. You're carrying a bit more weight in your boat. When they get into the surf especially a place like Struisbaai. The conditions are quite flat, a nice surf coming through, and you would put a bit of a faster prop on, maybe move up to a 15 bunny or a 16 semi-cleaver, just to get a bit more speed out of the boat.
So the prop you choose on the morning is absolutely critical for your performance during that day.
Yes, especially on the long haul. If you wake up in the morning and the wind is really gusting already by 8 o'clock, it's going to make it very difficult for you to choose exactly which propeller. But then you can look as low as a 14 pitch to get some good drive and just keep momentum with the boat.
We have seen the surf in Struisbaai stand up once before. It can get quite hairy out there. This time round, as we move into the blueprint class, it was going to get a little bit more choppy. So Wimpy Ackerman to command at the front of the race, closely being followed by Dreyer van Niekerk, Mark Leed and Odette Matham in third place, while Stefan Lindicke holding on to fourth. Dimitri Kreliev lying fifth on the log at the moment. Big fight between Dreyer van Niekerk and Mark Lee, the two of them pushing really, really hard, but in the end the win will go to Imperial Cargo's Wimpy Ackerman and Whitey Lowe as we enter the standard novice class. Close racing expected as they get off the line. A flip though by the Nordeer brothers Nataba Greenboat would have the race restarted. From the restart, Ace Creer and Conrad Jacobs, Plumcore taking an early lead, being pushed from behind by Volvo's Becker and Breedenham. And then it happened on lap number 5. Becker and Breedenham just holding back and waiting for Plumcore to make a mistake. And then it happened. They're going a little bit wide around that bottom surf turn. And Volvo took advantage, getting through. And that would be a win for Team Volvo. Coming through, a great finish by Becker and Breedenham, grabbing their first win in the standard novice class surf racing in this year's Trans Agulhas. In the modified class, we go on board with Francois van Wyk and Gert Gous, Marlow Trio Transport, Gemini, M9 as they get squeezed off the line. At the front, it would be Dave Barnett and Chad Wisters in first road emergency taking charge, but they're being pushed really hard by Wade Ball and Bobby Shaw. Keep in mind, Wade Ball, current SA surf champion in the modified class. As we go on board again with Van Wyk and Gous, and look at those little waves just upsetting the rhythm of the boat, bouncing along as they go. The win in the end will go to first road emergency Barnett and Westhuizen, keeping the charging Wade Ball at bay. They taking the win in Struisbaai. Let's have a look at those overall results then. Becker and Breedenham, Team Volvo taking the standard novice class, while the Borton Fernand will take the standard class. Ackerman and Lowe, Imperial Cargo dominating in the blueprints, and Barnett and Westhuizen extending their lead in the modified class. Currently second overall in the modified class is Robertson Abattoir's Wade Ball.
I've enjoyed it. I like going fast. I got my dad building me my engines. It's nice to race against Dave. He's pretty much a legend. She's the endurance. For me, because my legs are so long, I struggle in the boat with the long stints in between. If I don't have a beach stop just to stretch a bit, I take a bit of a pounding on the joints and that, but otherwise it's been good.
For standard novice class, dear Reynolds Becker and Burger Breedenham of Team Volvo, a win in the surf race left them on a high for the day.
Ek was baie happy toe ons 'n restart gekry het op die 4de lappie, maar toe ons weer gaan vir 5 laps, toe het dit eintlik baie beter gegaan en ons het gemanage om eerste plek te kry.
So what has been the toughest part of the Trans Agulhas?
In die oggend op te staan en my wetsuit aan te trek en 'n bietjie moed by mekaar te skraap om in die boot te klim met die seerlyf. Maar verder is dit lekker, as 'n mens by die strand kom is dit lekker. Geniet dit.
R23 Brix's Petrus Botha is SA Motard champion. We want to know how the Agulhas has been going.
Well, the first day we flipped in Ventana, and then the second day we had a problem with our spark plugs, and then today we turned the bush on our prop, so we needed to change the props, and then we carried on going again.
Being SA Motard champion, we wanted to know what are the main differences between being bike fit and boat fit.
Yes, I think you got to be bike fit and you got to be boat fit. It's two different types of things, but yeah, fitness level you do need to be fit.
Logistics in the Trans Agulhas are critical. This year, Team Rusgenoot has gotten behind the event to offer their support.
Ons het 5 trokke wat saamry wat ons 2 bote en die RIP ondersteun wat in die races deelneem, en ons gee slaapplek vir die polisie ook, en ons sleep die kos en die abolisie geriewe. So ons is die official logistics partner vir die Trans-Agulhas. Ek hou van die sport en van die see, so dit is vir my lekker om deel te wees van dit. Dus ek kom ek self ook ry en dit maak dit lekker.
There's more to the Trans-Agulhas than just racing a boat. It also involves entertaining the thousands of people that flock to the beaches to see the spectacle. On a daily basis, the roadshow has to be dismantled and broken down and then transported to the next venue or to be set up again.
Ons het eintlik baie publisiteit gekry uit ander goed uit, nie wat ons gewen het nie, maar dit is lekker om te weet dat Rusland het 'n verskil gemaak, al is dit nie in die races nie, maar buite die races.
So as we start day 5, Rowan, this is going to be a long day for the guys and a fairly difficult stage as well.
Yeah, the total distance, 135 kilometers with 4 stops, De Damme, Pearly Beach, Eulenkraalsmond, and then at the end of it, Hermanus. And this can be a very difficult stage. The beginning can be quite flat, and as you get along, you get a lot of kelp. Depending on the tide as well, there's a lot of reefs that you've got to contend with, and then you've got to get a danger point. Depending on the tide there as well, it will depend on the type of conditions the boats will experience around danger point.
A high of around 26 degrees for the day and some rough seas expected out on this stretch today as we enter day 5. From the word go, trouble for Peter Groenstein. This is leaving Strays by. Watch the boat coming in from the right-hand side. Plumcore hits him and sends him tumbling over. And that's pretty sad because Groenstein was running in the top 3 for a podium finish in this year's Trans-Agulhas. We pick up the beach stop action at Pearly Beach. It's Dave Barnett and Chad Worcester is in first road emergency. The first boat to arrive, being chased by Wimpy Ackerman and Whitey Lowe, and the Imperial Cargo duo really doing so well this year.
This is definitely Wimpy and Whitey's, I would say, their favourite leg. I think they practice this just for fun throughout the year, so they know the area very well, and there are a lot of shortcuts that can be taken around Danger Point. You can save yourself a lot of time by taking the short routes.
Lying in third place in the blueprint class, Team Generic Insurance's Mark Leeden and Dead Matham took us through their day.
The wind wasn't the major factor today, it was more swell. It was really, the swell was big. There were quite a few holes out there. We had a very good trip down. The boat setup was as near perfect as we can get it. The speed was there. We had a good trip down. We did misjudge one bay slightly, which cost us a little bit of time. We're still running, we still got our 3rd position overall, which we're very happy with. So everything's going very well.
Robertson Abattoirs, Eben de Bort and Gerard Fernode coming in for their beach stop at Pearly Beach. Something I didn't know, I only found this out afterwards. Fernode actually injured his hamstring and it left Eben de Bort to do all of the running as well as the piloting on the boat. And yeah, that must take a lot of physical energy out of you.
It must make a huge difference to the team at the end of the day. You know, the pilot, for him to get out, run, get back in the boat and still keep his concentration piloting the boat is extremely difficult. Must take my hat off to Eben for doing the running and the piloting. But yeah, the co-pilot makes a massive difference in the boat. He's basically your trim. 90% of the time he will, if he's in the right place at the right time, he'll stop the boat from flipping. Just by shifting his weight backwards and forwards in the boat can pick up speed. If the wind is gusting from the front, it's critical that he moves his weight accordingly to the front of the boat to stop the front picking up too quickly. So the co-pilot is definitely sort of an integral part of the whole team.
We are in Hermanus and look at how flat the bay is. Haven't seen it that flat in years. Dave Barnett leads the way, making the most of the conditions. Chad Worcester tells us how the day went.
We started off going very shallow around the point. A lot of guys actually came after the race and said, you guys are crazy to go so close around the point. A lot of rocks there. Fortunately, we got through that. The rest of the race was pretty calm conditions. There was a lot of big waves at Pearly Beach. But David controlled the boat nicely through there. And across from Gansbaai to Hermanus, the water was also favourable and we had a slight wind and it assisted us bringing up the nose. So,
Second place overall will belong to Imperial Cargo.
Vandaag het baie goed gehardloop vir ons. Ons het ons setup gisterand baie lekker gekies en vanoggend met die wegstrek het ons baie rustig gevoel. Die water om die punte was bietjie choppy geweest. By damme in was 'n bietjie choppy, maar verder was die kondisies eintlik baie gunstelik.
In the standard class, it was be Jacques Mathieu coming through to claim the win. He knows this coastline very, very well. But even de Bort and Gerard Verner, Robertson Abattoir holding on to that second place and keeping command of their overall lead in the standard class. So the overall positions then in the long haul on stage 4, Ackerman and Lowe taking it for Imperial Cargo over Lindeke and Ingram, while Barnett and Westhuizen claiming the modified class. Kokomo and De Wet, Ladysmith Cheese will take the win for standard novice class, while Mathieu and Michael van Geems will take the win in the standards. So into the surf racing we go, and what the competitors call the washing machine at Hermanus.
Yes, Hermanus, every year we race here, the wind tends to pick up, the swells tend to hit against the kranzes all along the seashore, sending them back out to sea, which eventually turns the whole area into a bit of a washing machine. Very nice area to race, got plenty of crowd up on the kranzes, lots of close flips in between, and lots of close racing to the spectators.
On board here with Nicky Smith and Team Scania are going alongside a Viking 2. So the team's going to be really, really careful here, and I think they're going to be working extra hard, continuous work by the pilot on the throttle.
There's a lot of sort of throttle control in these type of conditions as well. And as you can imagine, because you've got helmets on, you can't really talk to each other. So there's a lot of sort of sign communication between the driver and co-driver, and also just a lot of practice. The more practice the guys do and ride together, the less they need to communicate about things, because they will actually watch the gusts of wind on the water, and the co-pilot will be prepared for what's coming before they've even hit it.
Wimpy Ackerman and Whitey Lowe, Team Imperial Cargo, have been winning every single surf race in this year's Trans-Agulhas, and Hermanus will be no different as we get into the standard class heats. Watch Team Bermuda here. Eben Yunus and Jannie Visser, they've got a brand new sponsor on that boat, and they're really psyched up to make a difference in the surf race. It will be a fight all the way to the finish. And I can tell you the conditions are not letting down. It's getting worse by the minute, but Bermuda holding on to take the win. Yunus and Visser, I think, can't be happier with themselves. It's one of their first wins in this year's Trans-Agulhas. The crowd's always coming out to support the event this year. Thousands of people flocking to the Old Harbour as we get into the modified class. Crystal Cool Logistics getting airborne. That's Johan Hugo Reineke and Koch Malherbe fighting their way to try get onto the podium, but this young man's going to make it very difficult for them. Wade Ball and Bobby Shaw, Wizard Marine, Robertson Abattoir chasing down Dave Barnett, but the win in the modified class will once again go to Barnett and Oosthuizen First Road Emergency. I think everybody was looking forward to the standard novice class, as there would be a lot of fun and games, and look at this from the word go. It's Becca and Breedenham, Team Volvo taking us airborne in their boat, but trouble for it looks like Plumcore, yeah, Ace Greer and Conrad Jacobs going over, but Letaba Green stayed out of trouble. Pierre Nordier and Philip Nordier taking the win in the standard novice class. Recapping those overall results then, it's Ackerman and Lowe Imperial Cargo taking it over Lindeke and Ingram in the blueprint class, while Barnett and Oosthuizen once again dominating modifieds. Standard novice class going to Pierre and Philip Nordier, and Letaba Green taking the win, and Jacques Mathieu and Michael van Geems dominating in the standards. Nicky Smith of Team Scania is no newcomer to the Trans-Agulhas. We wanted to know from him, what was it like completing the Trans-Agulhas and finishing on the final day?
Kyk, om Agulhas te ry en klaar te maak en die strand uit te kom is jy kan dit nie vir iemand beskryf nie. Dis lekker gevoel, is nog een wat jy agter jou naam kan sit. So en dan begin jy Januarie maar weer en goed en begin voorberei vir die volgende jaar.
What was his overall approach this year to the Trans-Agulhas?
Ja, ons probeer ons lywe spaar en die boot en die engine maar spaar en hou maar reg op. Ons aim op hierdie stadium is om huis toe te gaan en om maar weer te begin werk aan volgende jaar. Kyk wat ons hierdie jaar verkeerd gedoen het en verbeter op om volgende jaar reg te kry.
The Crystal Cool Logistics duo of Reinke and Malherbe were in the top 5 in the modified class. We wanted to know what brings them back every year.
Ek dink wat hou terugbring is definitief die adrenaline rush. Ek dink as jy soggens begin, dan is jy kwaad om hierdie sport doen, want dan kom al gister se pyne weer deur. En sodra jy daai eerste beatstop kry en jy die mense sien en jy lekker deur die branders gaan, dan gee dit jou so half 'n motivering. Jy op 'n manier kop jy adrenaline in en vat jy na 'n ander vlak toe wat jy die sport ek sê jy geniet dit.
Trans Agulhas veteran Mark Lead is lying third place overall in the blueprint class. We wanted to know from him what was his fueling strategy for the race.
I always try and do it a 50-50 split. Because starting heavy, you've got a very, depends how much fuel you've got in, but you can have a very sluggish boat. And then when you all of a sudden go light, your average speed over the trip won't be the same. Another factor you've got to take into consideration is you can't just take a point and say, yes, I'm going to take fuel there. You've got to take the surf conditions into account. It's useless trying to change fuel tanks at a beach where it's got huge dumpers. So you've got to take a couple of factors into consideration, but we try to split it 50-50.
The rough sea conditions would continue around Gansbaai and Hermanus, and it caused the organisers to scrap the running of the night race, which usually happens between Gansbaai and Hermanus. So we move into the final day stage, 131 kilometres in total. I think this is going to be a very exciting one, Ron.
Yeah, the reason they go back to Gansbaai is because they cancelled the night stage last night due to extremely rough conditions and that, and also the wind direction. 5 stops, last day of the event, and this time as well the sea has flattened out, and I think it's going to be quite a fast last stage.
We pick up the beach stop action at Pringle Bay, and look at how flat it is out there. Barnett and Oosthuizen, they've got just on 3 minutes to make up if they want to take the overall win in the modified class. So he's pushing very hard today. Wimpy Ackerman, he's content. He's already got the win in the blueprints.
Dave had to pull all the stops out on the last day if he wanted to get the overall win. He was approximately 2 minutes behind Wimpy, and I think he overtook Wimpy by about a minute and a half on the last stage.
Generic Insurance's Mark Lead, Odette Mathan coming into the stop. Oh, that's a very tired Odette Mathan there. She now has to make her run towards the beach. Crowds coming out in support of the teams in Pringle Bay. Every year they come out to welcome the teams on the beach. This is Peter Groenstein and Nicole Parr, Value Max Amigos Excel Parts coming in. He's currently lying in third place in the standard class. And look at that, Mark Lead giving Odette Mathan a pull into the boat. She's struggling to get across to the right-hand side. He gives her a little bit of a helping hand there as he pushes her across, and you can see Odette Mathan has no energy left.
Yes, it's a very difficult running on the beach, getting out the water after sitting in a boat, not using your legs for a while. As you jump out, your legs feel like jelly, and then you've got to sprint up the beach. Back to the boat and running through the water, as you can see, is not that easy.
As we catch Team M5, this is Ferdy Limburg and Team Hunters Extreme making their way to the boat. They've got a short little stretch now to head to the strand. They're going to be heading around some of the most picturesque parts of the Cape area. And the next stop from here, of course, will be Gordons Bay. They'll be passing that on the right-hand side. There's Gordons Bay. And the strand lying just a few kilometres to the left, awaiting the first boat to come through. It's Barnett and Oosthuizen, and it looks like they've done just enough to pull back that lead from Wimpy Ackerman.
Yeah, we had a great run today. We're under pressure this morning because this is the first time we've actually had to chase on the last day. So I think we had a 2-minute deficit we had to make up. So yeah, we down at the slipway early this morning to change a few things on the boat, change propellers, and we got the right setup for the day.
Crowds awaiting the arrival of the first blueprint boat. It would be Wimpy Ackerman and Whitey Low, Team Imperial Cargo. They wouldn't clinch the overall victory, but they would get the win in the blueprint class, being the first boat home.
Yes, we're very happy. We had a fantastic race. The engine and the boat was in perfect condition the whole time, and the weather was so good, and we had a lot of spectators. So overall it was just a fantastic event for us, and I'm very happy with the 13th first place.
Although the day win in the standard class will go to Team Value Max, Peter Groenstein and Nicole Parr. It's the overall win that matters. And that would go to Robertson Abattoirs, Eben de Bort and Gerard Vernoot. Last year he tried so hard to win the event, but mechanical problems put him out of contention at Hermanus. But this year he's victorious.
No, it went fine. It's a 5-day race. We're not that fast in the flat water, but it came together because the key to Agulhas is to be consistent.
He's so right there. Consistency is what matters in this event. It's not about a one-day single performance, but your overall performance over the 5 days. Let's recap the overall positions then in the different classes. Looking at the blueprint class, the win going to Wimpy Ackerman and Whitey Low Imperial Cargo, while Barnett and Oosthuizen modified class clinching that overall win. Standard novice class going to De Villiers and Wasserval Team Overtrans, and the standard class being taken by Eben de Bort and Gerard Vernout. Trouble on the last day as 2 boats went astray out of the ocean. But luckily, the SAP task force on hand, and it's a very, very fast response, got them located in no time. All that was left to do is the final surf race at the Strand. Oh, and a big bump there from Dave Barnett and Chad Oosthuizen, giving Wade Ball and Bobby Shaw from Robertson Abattoir just a little bit of a push out of the way as they go into turn number 1. And Barnett and Chad Oosthuizen will make no mistakes. First Road Emergency have won every single surf race in this year's Trans Agulhas in the modified class. Big thanks to Capital Sounds, Brian Eminis and his team of technicians taking care of the commentary and the live broadcasts on the day. Thanks Capital Sounds. As we move into the blueprint class, and this time round I think it's going to be Stefan Lindicke taking charge at the front. Wimpy Ackerman has dominated the surf racing throughout the Agulhas. Yep, Wimpy Ackerman coming through second place on the day. He will take overall honours, but Stefan Lindicke ensuring that him and Tony Ingram take the final stage of the Trans Agulhas in the surf racing. In the standard class, there will be a battle all the way to the line. Van Leuven has been pushing Robertson Abattoir throughout the entire Trans Agulhas, but this time round, Robertson Abattoir is the Borton Fahrenheit making sure they take the win at the Strand. And look at this, as the boat comes to a standstill, they both jump out and run for the line. Now that's dedication for you. The standard novice class racing has been fairly clean in the surf throughout the entire Trans Agulhas. Keep in mind, these are guys that haven't taken part in the Trans Agulhas before. The surf action would be pretty hot and contentious out in the Strand. Trouble though as we go into a couple of the laps. Looks like Wetcore going over one of the flags there is going to be penalised for that. But look at this. This is Team Motorlek as we go on board with a duo from Motorlek. Watch what happens. They just lose it in the one corner. Watch the co-driver falls out. And that will be a DQ. The end of the racing would be stopped. And the overall win will go to De Villiers and Wasserval from Team Overtrans Superbrand. All that was left to do is pop the champagne and celebrate in style. According to Gerald Meyer of Profile Sponsorship Management, this year's Agulhas was just a taste of things to come.
I am very happy. I think we assembled a very professional team this year on the race. They nailed the media, the social media. We had a lot of interaction between the spectators. Our spectator figures were incredibly up if you compare it to the last few years. We had thousands of people along the coast witnessing the finishes every day. We'd like to now go out to sponsors, secure good sponsorships to make it a day-long event at all the beaches. It's a beautiful area to race in, and it's the world's longest and toughest boat race, so there's nothing to compare with the Trans Agulhas in the world.
That concludes our coverage of this year's Trans Agulhas. We'll catch you again at the end of the year as we make the journey from Plettenberg Bay to the Strand. All of the action of the Trans Agulhas is proudly brought to you by Rusgenoot Transport, Profile Sponsorship Management and Capital Sounds.